So find your soul and the world will use it.
Welcome everyone to another episode of the Searching for a Meaning podcast with myself, Richard Glover. I'm delighted to be joined by this amazing couple from Charleston, West Virginia, the Little Blue Hearts. Good morning, guys, and thanks so much for jumping on board. How are you?
Morning, Richard.
Good morning.
Great, man.
Good talking to you.
Yeah, super stoked for you having us, man. This is cool.
Yeah, thanks so much for being on. And it's weird that you're in the morning and I'm slowly you're thinking about breakfast and I'm starting to think about dinner. And it's so you're waking up as I'm falling asleep. So this could be a disaster. It could be brilliant. We'll see.
Perfect.
So what's been going on there? Obviously, we met through the Appalachian Folk Festival, which is a live stream event. That will this be your third or second? How many of these events have you put on so far?
This will be the third.
This will actually be the third and final.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And it's for anyone listening who hasn't seen it online, it's on the 20th of June. It's a fantastic. It's a live stream festival. It starts at 12 o'clock American time, which UK I think is about 4 p.m. And the lineup's brilliant. You got Sierra Farrell, Erin Enderlin, and a load of other fantastic acts. We're fortunate enough to be starting it as well. And each festival has been raising money for different causes. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one we kind of just left it to the artists because we weren't entirely sure who we wanted to support. And then we realized that we don't have to choose one specific organization. Like we can support a different organization each month.
So the second one we were supporting the immigrant community,
Mm-hmm.
and this one we will be supporting the recovery community.
It's this house. It's actually for women in recovery. It's called the Ray of Hope.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a beautiful, man. They do so much for these girls. They help them get clean. Like the girls have to go to a detox facility first. It has to be at least a 7 to 28 day detox facility or program, and then they go to the Ray of Hope, and they live there for a year. And once they graduate, they have been clean for a year, and then they help the women find jobs and apartments after that. So it's a really cool program, man. And they're doing a lot for the recovery.
And wow, is that something are they a local organization or do they work nationally across America?
They're actually an independent organization. They're
local to Charleston,
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're here. I think there's only one house though. They don't get any governmental assistance. I know that.
Wow. And is that something that is a big issue specific to Charleston? Like, is it a rate that's rising?
We've been one of the hardest hit areas in the country, I think.
Yeah.
With the opioid epidemic.
Yeah. Yeah, I know firsthand about that. Well, so does she now.
So with the fact that it's not a government funded, like how did you how did you find out about these organizations? Were these organizations you knew before you had the idea to put on the festivals?
The sort of organizations we knew before. I was familiar with the recovery, with the Ray of Hope, and then but the what was the community?
The Community Response Coalition of Kentucky.
We're familiar with all.
That one was suggested to us by
Brad Becker at Red Barn Radio.
Yeah, one of our partners in putting it on.
All right. And what gave you the idea to put on festivals whilst everyone was stuck at home? You just go, oh, let's put on a music festival. It's like, was it like a Wayne's World moment? Or?
I swear, literally. Yeah, the light bulbs blew up and there were balloons and confetti. It was great.
We were just sitting here with all our shows getting canceled and all our friends in the same boat, and we're thinking about how can we still stay connected to our audience and keep the music going for people. And I think we maybe had done one live stream ourselves, one or two or something, and then we thought, we could, why not? It was his idea. Let's just make it a festival and go all day. And he's somebody that has an idea and then goes and does it right away. And while I'm sitting, I was like, well, wait, let's think about how to do it. And he's already like figuring it out, getting it going. So.
But I mean, I didn't get it going entirely by myself. There's no way. I mean, she's done, after I got it rolling, she's taking care of like everything. I just have
And
the
so-
ideas.
He just has to push me to jump in, and then
And once she puts her mind to it, man, it's we can do anything. Really, it's crazy.
Because I think you have that kind of like, as soon as you have an idea, you've got like a very short frame of time where it's like either you pursue that and you've got that motivation and enthusiasm behind you,
Exactly.
or it kind of gets locked away in a year's time. It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, maybe we'll do it this year. And as soon as it becomes
Yeah.
maybe, it never gets done.
right. So he's always the motivating force in doing things like that. I'm a lot more cautious, and I want to like think about things and figure it all out. And he's like, "You just figure it out as you do it. Let's just jump in and do it." And so he's the one that makes things happen.
Well, thank you.
It's good to have that caution, though. Sometimes I wish I had a bit more caution before I go to post things on Facebook, because I'm just going to put this out. This is great. And then an hour later, you've got, oh my God, why'd I do that?
Oh, why'd I do that?
Yeah. So it's good to have that balance. So it's a good combo you got there. How have you been finding the festival so far then? Like, how have the last two gone?
So the first one it went really well. We got a lot of good feedback. We had just about 1,000 people going or interested. At the end of it, I think we had, 800 and some people went.
Something. It's kind of hard to tell because the way we did it with each artist being a separate stream, it's hard to tell how many people carried over to watch all day and how many people tuned in for just one or two of them. But we had good response on that one. And that we were so excited that we're like, let's do it again. Let's do it next month right away. And that one blew up. That
one, for some reason, somehow, it blew up exponentially. We had like we reached 202,000 people. And
wow.
Had close to 10,000 people going or interested. And I'm not sure how that one blew up so much. And now that people are starting to go back, the venues are opening back up, and we're finding other ways to have physical live shows again. We just decided that
this will probably be the last one.
We have a good lineup. We have you guys opening, man. That's just going to be so cool, and that's going to get people interested, in your guys' side of the music, and
Yeah, we really wanted to push the boundaries a little bit of what people thought of as Appalachian folk music.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to contain it just to people right here, or just to a very narrow type of music. We wanted to kind of show the broad reach and the variety.
Right. I mean, and if it wouldn't have been for Pamela is like a huge advocate for female artists. She has went out of her way to make sure. It was actually her idea to have just as many female artists as male artists. Like, why would we not? Why are people not doing that? And when she said it, I was like, that's really, really. And so we decided to alternate as much as we could through the lineup, male artists, female artists, or vice versa. So this month, we have Sierra Farrell headlining, and Erin Enderlin before her is just.
She's incredible. Yeah.
She's a bad butt.
Did you know these acts before the festival, or was it a case of you having a look at, what acts you want to get and approach them?
A little of it, one, a little of the other. Some of them we knew. Well, some of them.
I know a lot of people.
Some of them we were just like, who would be really cool? Let's just reach out to Sierra Farrell and see if she'll do it. And she responded.
Sure.
Said she would do it. So.
It's brilliant. And it's that old tale, you don't ask, you don't get. Like, you've got to ask for someone you've got to knock on the door for the person to answer. If you don't knock, then,
Right.
Probably,
They're not,
exactly.
they don't hear,
Yeah.
And so something I've always found with kind of, traditional music is generally, the fans and the demographic are a lot more accepting of, female acts than opposed to other genres. Like, there's a lot more, I think there's a lot of issues with gender equality within the music industry.
Oh my God, man, I'm so glad you said that. That's exactly what we're trying to help prevent. Because we have. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Now, do you find that with Appalachian and like folk music in general, it's a not so much easier, but generally more accepted for female acts to play than as opposed to negative feedback in like metal music or other genres?
I mean, part of the reason we started doing it is, or really making a real concerted effort is because we would look at festival bills and see that, you know, it was heavily weighted toward male artists, and there would be a few female artists here and there, but and you know, it's hard to know, is it purposeful? Is that because there are more men who are really, but you know, maybe women aren't getting the opportunities, and you have to sometimes get an opportunity to be known before you can become known. So we just really, I don't know, I think it's still a challenge for women,
especially in this area.
And like every industry, it's who you know, and you know, men are friends with other men, and if a man's putting on the festival, which most of the time they are, they're going to invite their male friends to perform, and so you have to like make a conscious effort to make sure that you're looking a little bit beyond your first circle, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that it's cool to meet people.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it is very much a case of, unfortunately, who knowing the right people as opposed to what you can offer. I know, especially like with our experience as musicians, it's you're looking at certain festivals that you think you'd be a good fit for, but if you're not in that circle, and this is just in general, this is before gender comes into it. You know, if you're not into, you know, it's very much kind of like it's a club, and if you're not a member of that club, then it's very hard to kind of break in. So already it's difficult, but then when you add gender on top of that, it's just that extra barrier that people have to break through just to get your music heard. And you know, this is before they listen to it. And then there was a thing, I think it was last year, the Australian Blues Festival, they announced
that was super neat.
the kind of headline acts, and there wasn't any female acts that they'd announced, and like they just got absolutely panned for it, rightly so.
Yes.
And this is like the biggest this is the biggest blues festival in the country as well. And then all of a sudden, you know, a week later, we're announcing these acts. These acts is like, come on, guys, like it's not the right step to be taken.
Right, tighten up.
Yeah,
tighten up.
But I think it comes back to a discussion I have a lot, which is what you guys are doing with this. Is it's like we can't wait for people to make the change for us. If we're not happy with something, you know, we can shout all we want about changing it, but very rarely does that change happen until we make that conscious effort to do it. So by you guys putting on this festival and making sure that, you know, female musicians have that platform, and then hopefully it inspires more people to go, you know what, I'm putting on a gig or a festival soon.
I think we already have a little bit.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Do you have plans down the line once things open up to put on a live festival?
It's sort of that's sort of up in the air right now. We've talked about it. We've actually went and looked at some land, and we've been considering it. You know, it's just
we really like the idea, but we're also very aware of how much work it would be, and how like putting on a festival has kind of taken away a little bit from our own music, because we put a lot of effort into making sure that we promote the artists that are on the festival, and put a lot of effort into that. And with a live in-person festival, I think it would be even more. So we don't we don't want to stop doing music ourselves.
Right.
So really,
exactly.
Yeah. Summer's coming, and we're going to get some tours booked up, and
brilliant.
We're planning on being all over the place, man. We're actually working with Kate Weatherford. She was with Oklahoma Reviews for a while. And she became a close friend of families of mine, and she's going to be our booking agent. So we're going to be touring.
That's brilliant. So a live gig's going ahead, a live venue's opening up again over there now for music.
I think a few are starting to in different places, and theoretically with restrictions about how many people can be in the venue, and I don't know what all. There was one, was it last weekend that Arlo and Nolan
Arlo McKinley and Nolan Taylor played at Elks Lodge in
oh, is that where it was? So
someplace in Ohio. I'm not sure which one.
I don't know what the restrictions were entirely, but I know they're being cautious about it, but people are trying to get live shows back up. Red Barn is starting to do them without an audience now, but they are bringing people back onto their stage. So I think people are just kind of feeling it out in different places. Some people are more anxious to get everybody back together than others.
Yeah.
And it's a strange time to be a musician because it's not like with other businesses such as, you know, like shops where you can kind of prepare for, right, shops are opening up again from this date, and you know as soon as you open those doors, people are gonna, like, IKEA open on Sunday, and there's 5-hour queues for IKEA, and it's like, do you need to go into IKEA that badly? Right? And that's it with shops and consumerism. You know, as soon as you click your fingers, people will come back. Whereas music, it's very much up in the air because ultimately there's not really much we can do about it as musicians. It's ultimately down to the venues, what they want to do, how they want to operate, and then we've got to wait to, you know, book a gig, to be able to book a date and then have enough time to promote it. And yeah, so it's kind of that weird kind of middle, I don't know, you're kind of in the twilight zone, kind of not knowing not knowing where it's heading. That's definitely the case over here. I know Trump doesn't really take things as seriously over there, so I don't know what's gonna.
You say Trump? Who's that?
So,
never heard of him.
if only that was the case for everyone else.
Right.
Right.
Truly. Oh my God.
So are you guys planning on doing some record? Have you been recording during the lockdown, or has it all been on the?
Oh yeah, man. We've written so many songs, and we just recorded our next single, which is hands down the best song I've ever written.
We're so excited.
We're so excited about this song. It's uplifting, man. I mean,
that's what
it's
we
just
need.
about what is it? It's what we need. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we need. Uplifting stuff.
It's really good, man. I guess we can release the title. The title of the track. It's going to be called. This will be the first time anyone really knows what the title of the track's going to be. And the title of it is "Eyes to the Sky," and it has this really cool groove. And I've just never been more excited for the world to hear a song that we have created. Man. It's so special.
That's what you want, that excitement, because music, it's such, like, I was reading an article a couple of weeks ago, and the guy who was writing was like, oh, music's a miracle. And that's kind of stayed with me since reading it, because it's just a bunch of sounds and a bunch of words thrown together. The emotion and what it can actually do, it's pretty special. So it's exciting that and people should be excited about releasing their own music. Whenever I talk about my music, I'm kind of like, yeah, we're recording, we're going to be putting something out. I kind of want to be excited. I like deep down, that's me being excited about it. I was like, oh,
that sounds like her. That sounds like that sounds like she'll stay real monotone. Like, are you happy right now?
Yeah. You just put some songs like, can you sound happy? Yep. I hope you enjoy this. I did. And then just a thumbs up. So it's an angle to work on. So how come have you thought about putting yourselves on these festivals to play, or?
Well, we played the first one, and naturally we would like to be on every one of them. You know what I mean? We play every show we could, but you know,
it just feels a little bit.
Yeah, hosting the festival and having yourself with a bill just seems a little self-centered.
We ended up doing a few songs at the
I'm going to write that down as a note for myself to remember. So, how long have you two been a duo for then? Like, how did it start? What gave you that kind of drive to pursue music?
Well, we met about a year and a half ago, and I was just, a fan of his music, and we started spending time together, and I was just like, let me help you promote your music and help you do that. And I just kind of
I heard her singing in the shower. literally heard her singing in the shower, and then not long after, she was singing on my first EP.
And I was like, I don't know what you're
She'd never done this before, I mean, she had never. And so it was my first record that we had ever recorded.
Nice.
And so she was on it. She's on it. She actually is in.
I think the first time I was on stage with you was either late November or December. it might have been right before you released your album, or right at the day we did the album release, December 1st.
Oh, at the Burl.
And then we like a little bit more. I did a couple more songs with them, and I don't remember. We formed the Little Blue Hearts probably just like 3 or 4 months ago. We decided to make it an official thing.
It wasn't long. It wasn't long ago. We've already got a few thousand followers, I think.
How have you found the process of like being a couple and being musicians together as well? Because I obviously with Kings and Queens, me and Kalisha are partners as well, and there's always that kind of you're writing a song and then so it either goes really well or you're not speaking to each other for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
I think we should have another chorus. And it's like, no, Richard, we shouldn't. And then and then it's tense.
That's it entirely.
He's a lot more of a natural musician, and I'm a lot more cerebral, I think. And so most of the stuff, really, he writes it, and then I kind of follow along. And I've just sort of started dipping my toe into trying to write something.
Into writing. She's actually working on, I believe it's going to be her first single. She plays a bit of piano, and she wrote this song, man, and it's going to be something special. She says that keeps working on it. I'm going to try to sing the chorus with her, you know what I mean? So I don't want to take away from, especially being her first single, but perhaps like we'll be able to market a little bit. I think it'll be really cool to market with her name featuring Walter DeBar this time instead of vice versa.
Yeah. So is it a lot easier to balance that kind of work and personal life with the music being the centerpiece, or do they often overlap with each other?
At times.
The other thing too, I guess, that is a factor in our lives is that he's a full-time musician and I'm not. I have a day job that I have to go to, and then by the time I get all that done, and
I'm drunk on the couch.
Yeah, dinner and everything else in the evening. he's played all his music all day long.
And so, like, by the time she gets home, I'm like, let's just we'll do it.
Yeah, I
so
know.
Really
exactly
true.
how
He
you
writes
feel,
most of the music, and I join along.
For now. For now, she's getting her feet wet, so we're gonna see. I have a feeling she's got them.
Fantastic. It's funny you say that because it's very similar with me and Kalisha. Like I do music pretty much full time, and Kalisha works full time, and like she'll come home and she's like, Richard, like, oh, why have you not done this? Why have you not done this? So I'm like, yeah, I haven't done this, but I did come up with a card, and it's like not enough.
Not enough.
I just sucked in. It's like, oh, I'll be sat around the house. It's like, yeah, I should really eat. I should probably tidy up. But and then before you know it, it's like, oh crap, I've not done anything.
Yeah, it's 6 p.m.
Yeah. And then it's as well. It's hard for someone coming home from work to have. You need that time to unwind, and sometimes the last thing you want to do is start working again on something completely different. So it's but then at the end of the day, full-time musicians isn't always the best paying job. So you do need that kind of sensible head. Is like, well, you can write a song, but I'm going to make sure that we can eat this week.
That's exactly. I think maybe she has actually said that.
That's pretty much the dynamic.
I mean, it really is. That's hilarious that you said that.
So what? Something I'm interested in talking about with people, and kind of one of the aims of this podcast is just how people find that courage to go. I'm doing this for a living, but really, my heart's leading me down this direction. This is what I want to do, but and then all of a sudden you start getting that doubt. So one of the aims of this podcast is just to find, what doubts people like yourselves have, and how have you managed to overcome that to pursue, your passion and something that you want to make a living from?
Oh man, music's always been my thing. I just could never sing. I didn't think I could sing. I was like, I would be real shy. I was super timid. I didn't want anyone to hear me. I was like, man, they're gonna think this sounds.
That's what the alcohol's for, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Trust me. I drink my share of alcohol. I'm a drinker. Yeah. Oh, that was water, wasn't it?
Yeah, this is water, though. This is water.
I was like, cheers.
I feel I've let you down now. Sorry.
Nah. Not at all, man. I got in a bunch of trouble growing up, and then actually, I've been in trouble my whole life. My mother was really into music, but really where I found it was from my grandmother. And then I used to hear her playing old hymns. And I thought about that I got in trouble when I was locked up for a long time, man. And I thought about that forever. And I swear it was like a week after I got out of prison. I was living in this halfway house with these hippies, man. And they were really cool and they were so sweet. And they helped me. They just helped me believe in myself, man. And one of them heard me singing, and literally that's how it got started. Really, quick little.
Well, I think that's it. It's very much about that network of people around you, and it's that although it links back in some ways to what we were talking about earlier as knowing the right people, but it's not always in a sense of knowing the right people in a professional degree. It's more about knowing the right people in terms of people who can get behind you and support you. It's very easy, especially on with things like social media, to see negativity and to have negative people around you, especially people you grow up with who, you're thrown with these people through circumstance of where you were born, not necessarily because you share the same beliefs or mindset. And especially where something like music's involved, and you tell people, oh, I want to be a musician, and all of a sudden you met with, oh, really, like, it doesn't pay well. It's it's really hard to make it, like, oh, why don't you go on X Factor or this, and it's I think the key is making sure that you've got that strong network of people, whether it's music or whatever it is you want to do, people who support you. And it's something I was really lucky to find, a huge group of people back in Australia who we all had the kind of same mindset and everyone was helping each other. And since knowing you guys, it's something that I've noticed from you as well. You support everyone and you get that support in return as well. And a lot of people don't realize it as well. Like, you see musicians who are only in it for themselves, and it's like, this business could be a lot easier if you let people help you and you help other people as well.
And that's really what he's all about. And how, like, I did when I was younger, I loved music and I sang in the choir in school, but I had like zero confidence about my ability to do anything. And I never, I always loved it. And there's that tiny little piece of you that imagines, like, what would it be like to be on a stage? But I never, ever, ever thought that was a thing I would do. And he just was like, you can do it, and push me out there. And it's not just me. I mean, he is the most enthusiastic supporter of anybody and everybody that he comes across that he thinks has even like the remotest amount of, well, I won't say that. I won't say like, but anybody that he thinks is talented, or that is good people, and he just wants to support everybody and love everybody. And
I just think that's what it's about. Exactly what you said, man. This business could be a whole lot easier if we all just help each other out.
Yeah, and back to the festival, that's a lot of what this is. We're like, let's let people know about these really great artists that maybe they don't know about. And we thought if we put them all together, some that people know and some that they don't know, that, it would help everybody out.
Right. It gives them a bigger audience, a broader audience.
And it just builds up that sense of community as well, especially in a time where everyone's isolated and stuck in their own home. Putting on something like this where you've got, 10 or so acts from all over the world coming together to do this one thing, and all these people tuning in from everywhere, like, it does give you that sense of community, which we've kind of lost over the last couple of months, especially during the lockdown. Which I think that's the great thing about music. And I think that's why you look at all the big kind of social and civil movements that have happened, music's always played a center part to any change that's happened, from Woody Guthrie to Aretha Franklin, and the list goes on. There's a reason music's always at the center of change.
Exactly, man. I agree entirely.
So what kind of, when kind of looking forward, one thing I've been thinking about is, I really believe that we're at a point in history where if we want to kind of change things, this is the perfect time to do it. Like the world's kind of shut down for the last couple of months. We're kind of looking ahead to reopening it all. And with these riots and protests really highlighting a lot of issues that we have, do you think that there's a way that we can kind of bring this idea that we have when we're putting on music festivals and gigs to bring people together, like how we kind of take that a step further and really kind of educate people and inspire people to change themselves?
That's a really good question. And I don't know if we have really.
I don't have many, so thank you.
That was a really.
I don't know if we've thought about it in such concrete terms, or as far as, I mean, you know, we want to do well. We want to spread love and bring people together. And we hope that that's something that, and like we talked before about bringing more awareness to different female artists or other artists who are really good and haven't yet managed to find their way to the audience.
Or, you know, like as we've all talked about, they maybe they weren't part of this, you know, these circles that only allowed, you know, their friends, family, or people they've known for 867 years to like even have a drink with them. We're just trying to make this life easier, man. All we want to do is play music, hug the shit out of everyone we see, and we just want to spread love. I don't know what else to do with it.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who could probably benefit from just one big kind of hug. I think that's simply how you change things. You just give someone a hug.
That's it. I swear it is. That's it, man. Just let them know it's okay.
Another thing with it kind of links back to what we were talking about at the very beginning with Appalachian music in general, like how such a small kind of specific genre in terms of its origins and where it came from, such a small part of the world. Now pretty much every genre gets its influence from that early music.
Yeah.
And it's strange how, you know, every pocket of the world kind of harks back some way to that traditional music. What was your experience in terms of finding this genre and, you know, like becoming attached to it?
Of the Appalachian deal? Honestly, man, growing up,
I think we've both like been in and out of it over our lifetimes. Like here, I think for both of us, maybe our first real music experience was in the church and the hymns and the things that people.
My grandmother playing hymns and you being in the church.
And there's a real strong culture of that here, of people doing that kind of music. And then as far as live music for me, I remember going to a pig roast and people were playing music there, or going to, like, we have an event called the Vandalia Gathering here, which is like a old time, mostly it's music and dance festival, I think mostly. It's over the last weekend in May, usually every year. And so we grow up with that kind of music. And then as all kids do, you explore the other music that comes in on the radio or that you find in different places. But
I was introduced to good music at an early age. I was like 16 and I had some really cool friends that traveled that were into the indie rock scene. And I turned 18 and they moved me to Greensboro, North Carolina, man, where I fell in love with the indie rock scene. And I was 17, you know, I just turned 18 when I moved there. And I wasn't even allowed in the bars, but they were like getting me into the bars. And my best friend like owned this bookstore, and he's like this indie rock king who Shane Strady's one of my best friends. God rest his soul, man. If there's one up there to rest with. Yeah.
So we explored different things, but you kind of always come back home, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I can't stay gone for long. I always move back every time, man. So that's kind of the same aspect with the music, you know. We go explore other genres, but inevitably I'm always coming back to the folk, the indie folky sort of deal, man.
Yeah, I think that's something I always find pretty envious about the States, is how kind of open and proud they are of their traditional music, and how and that kind of progression from, you know, the early folk music into blues, into, you know, rock and what we have today, whereas the UK's kind of, there is a growing scene for folk music, but it's not as kind of like a national icon as it is over in America. So I always get very jealous of you guys over there when.
Oh, come visit,
how
man.
good
We
it is.
have an extra bedroom.
I think once the NSA look at my Facebook history, they probably won't be letting me in anytime soon. One, I'd love to take you up on that
probably
offer.
wouldn't be here either if they had a choice.
Oh, yeah, good so.
So we talked about it briefly before we went on the air, but obviously everything that's going on at the moment in America, like how have you guys been finding it? You did mention it's been fairly quiet in Charleston at the moment. Does it feel like it's something that's eventually going to the protests are going to hit you guys, or is it pretty mellow?
They've been doing some protests here as well. They're not as
They're small, generally smaller
anger
here.
fueled.
Yeah, and there really is the population here is different than it is in other. We're pretty not a very diverse area. I'll put it that way. And other parts of the country, I think that have a lot more diversity. It's a lot more prevalent just by sheer numbers of the issues that people are facing. Not to say there aren't issues here, because there are a lot of issues here.
There are, yeah. This I grew up in West Virginia, man, in an entirely white family, having the last name Coon. Being the only black kid in school, you know, there was one other kid, and man, you know, I remember being like 7 or 8 and getting on the school bus, and I would always be nervous because if this kid was on the bus, then him and his buddies would be, you know, I would hide in the back in the seat by myself, and they would kind of get in the seat in front of me and turn around and face me, and they beat me up a couple times, and that was just my first experience with true racism. And then I started learning how to see it in people's eyes, and I quickly learned that if I was overly friendly initially when I met someone, that it was a little more difficult for them to be dicks. So I started
takes them off guard.
Yeah, it kind of does. But I think instead of us just trying to force people into, I don't think that's gonna work. I don't think us trying to like make people understand is gonna work. I think we just gotta try and what I do, man, like I'll just go and I've never told anyone this, so I'll go ahead and do it right now. Like my stepdad's parents, my grandparents were racist. They were really racist. But when he brought me there, it couldn't be. So like, and I was just I was one when he came into my life, my stepfather. And so I was changing lives at 1 year old, and I had no idea. I didn't realize it until just recently that I was helping them realize some things, you know, that I don't know how to explain it.
That's all right. Well, thank you very much for sharing.
So often,
yeah, man.
It's just one person at a time.
Yeah,
just you know, and I don't know how to do it any other way other than to just individually and, you know, try and teach my kid right and try and teach other kids when you have the opportunity, and I don't know.
That's it, man. We just gotta kill them with kindness.
Yeah.
Just keep on loving. I don't know what else to do.
Well, I think it comes down to what you mentioned, you know, like making sure that you're raising your kid to be aware of these, and it does come down to education. Like I grew up, and I'm back here at the moment, just a standard Northwest town where industry was, you know, the big thing, and then they had the boom, and then that's died down. So already you've got a lot of frustrated people who they perceive the world a lot differently to how everyone else does, and then you throw in, you know, that kind of fear of the unknown when immigrants come in, and there's never any education there for acceptance. Kids are going to school without learning about these kind of cultures and, you know, racial acceptance, and then you turn on the news and it's always, you know, if propaganda's other racism's the easiest thing to flare up in someone, because it's that fear of that kind of almost primal fear of someone who's different to you, someone from this different place. All of a sudden there's that kind of primal urge to fear them. And so it does come down to education. And I can certainly see why these protests are happening, but unfortunately you've got a guy at the top who's just not interested in listening. So it's really hard to kind of see where you kind of go from there, because ultimately I can only see one or two things happening. Either suddenly Trump has this massive reawakening where he goes, hang on a minute, like I'm a massive dick, like there's a reason so many people hate me, maybe I should actually reflect and look at what I'm doing, and this is or it's going to be that constant battle where one side's shouting another thing and the other side's just trying to shout louder, instead of we need to listen to each other. We need to listen why these people feel this certain way so we can educate them. But it's easy for me to say that because I don't have to worry about any kind of racism. But I think from the racist people I know are racist through ignorance and through lack of education, and it's very rarely through any kind of reasoning. And hopefully, hopefully music can be something that can change that. It's always at the front of social change, and who knows? It's definitely an interesting time to be alive at the moment.
It really is, isn't it? I was thinking that the other day. I was like, man, this is just.
It's crazy to know that you're in the middle of something really historical
that
your kids and grandkids, or your grandkids, are going to read about in their history books, and that.
I'm just interested to see if anything at all changes. Yeah. I don't think the world's going to give it a choice. I think it's either going to happen or it's just going to. I think it might get bad if it doesn't.
Well, they're already saying in China that air pollution is already getting back because they've opened up now. Air pollution is getting back to the rates that it was pre-lockdown, which is sad because it kind of shows that that's the direction governments are going to be taking. They don't really have interest in changing, making things better. They just want to go back to how it was before, where they were, making money. And it's just like, and that's kind of sad because, as we said, this is if we want to change things, this is the perfect time. And so that's why we've got to just grasp it ourselves, I think, and start the revolution of
I'm so about it. I'm so about it.
When you say, let's go back to the way things were before, and I think that's, for a lot of people, that's feels safe to, I already know this way, and I want to, that way feels safe to me. And I think that's the impetus for racism, for a lot of racism, and a lot of, everything else, because people who, anything that's different, any new way of doing things.
Terrified of change.
Yeah.
Everyone's terrified, a little bit, somewhat scared, afraid of change. I've learned to embrace it because I've had to deal with a lot of change really quickly and had no choice.
But otherwise, you have to, well, that's it. You were pushed into it, and I think that we just have to figure out how to push it and make it happen, because otherwise,
it's not gonna. It's just going to keep getting worse.
Do you think these protests can push people into change?
And I think they do. I think not only do they help push people to change, but they all there are people watching from the sides, man, that are seeing what's happening, and it's helping bring awareness. I think, man, it's helping bring awareness. I believe in protesting, man. Like, as long as they're peaceful, no one's getting hurt, and people are just really trying, like, they believe in what they're doing. Like, I say do the damn thing, man. I'm behind them 100 all the way.
Yeah, I think it really is, this time more than any other times I've seen people get worked up about it. I think people are really starting to examine themselves and look at the issues and say, you know what, maybe there really is maybe they really do have a point.
Yeah, but that's it. That's beautiful. And it's hopefully that, if enough people can kind of see that and reflect and look inwards, instead of kind of turning to, I think it's like human instinct to point the finger first, as opposed to going, you know, well, maybe I'm antagonizing this somehow. So you know, we definitely need that reflection, that stop to, you know, look in the mirror and just, you know, see, is this what I want to be putting out? Do I want to be putting out anger and hatred towards people? Because it's only going to end one way. And I think it's kind of, I don't think ironic, but I think it's almost poetic that a lot of these protests are happening the same on the anniversary of like the Normandy landings. You know, that those people were landing on the beaches to fight fascism, and on the 70th anniversary of those, again, people are rising up and fighting against a fascist.
History will repeat itself.
It's weird how it's almost, you know, it's to the day. If that doesn't make you wonder if there's powers that be kind of playing these things, then it's there's not much else that will, I think. Makes you think.
Agree.
Or am I just chatting complete nonsense here?
I love it. I'm so about it, man. You got to be ready to go like kicking some doors and hug somebody. Like I'm gonna go find the most racist person. Like, anyone with a rebel flag in the yard, I'm gonna stop and knock on the door and ask them for a cup of sugar.
So do you still get a lot of you know, kind of do you get a lot of racism now in this area, or is it kind of something that
it's there, it's here, and I see it every once in a while, but not nearly the way it was when I was younger, man. But I'm not sure if that's because I'm older. I've been to prison a couple of times. I have tattoos and a beard now.
I would,
or if it's because maybe there's actually something changing. But you know, I think it's just it's in the dark now. Like,
you live in a bigger town now.
Yeah,
so it's a little bit more diverse. And
well, I mean,
helps, but
after even after I was I got a little older and could take up for myself, you know, people kind of slowed. I mean, that's it. If you face someone that's angry for no reason and you just kind of smile at him, man, like, I think it's, I don't know. I don't want to say that. But I think if you just try to love someone regardless of who they are, just because they're a human being, that I think that goes a long way in this situation. You know? Both sides. On both sides is the thing, you know.
Yeah, and it's something I commented on a post earlier. So there's this thing on Facebook that's going around. It's like, delete these people in your friends list, and it goes to a link, and you click the link, and it's all your friends who like Donald Trump's page. And it's funny, but at the same time, it's like I've seen so many people going, right, if you like Donald Trump, or if you like this, delete me. And it's like, I can definitely see where they're coming from, but I think in the long run, we need to be listening to these people and going, you know, like, why are they siding towards these people? Because change is only going to happen once it's accepted.
We understand.
You can't force that change on people who are unwilling to listen. And if we're not willing to listen to the other side, then they're not going to be willing to listen to us. And I think on Facebook and Twitter, you definitely see that, where everything's just like one person shouting and the other person shouting, and no one's actually reading what the other person's got to say. And until we kind of accept that and try and push past it, then I don't really see much change happening. We got to listen to each other.
And also, if I get rid of you because I don't like the way you think, why should I think that you would want to listen to me?
Right, right. Yeah.
Like you can't expect people to listen to you if you're not willing to
listen yourself. Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's a full circle, man.
So there's hope. We've established the issue, and now we've just got to hopefully get it out there and get people to listen.
That's it, man. That's what we're shooting for. Good. Hoping like hell.
So what's next for you guys then? Are you solely preparing for the festival? Or are you preparing for a release as well now? Like, what's the next stage? Are you just going to see what the world offers?
Well, I think right after we finish talking to you, we're going to get this kid some clothes on. We're going to grab the tent, and we're going to drive to Buchanan and go camp at my favorite spot, man, that we haven't been to in years.
Just get out in the woods.
I think it was spontaneous. We're just going to go, get some beers, some firewood, turn our phones off, go see my little brother and see if they want to come. And if not, then it'll just be the three of us and the dog. And we're going to go, okay, we're going to the woods, man. And then we're going to go have this record release.
Nice.
We don't have a date set.
We don't have a date set yet, though. Right, yeah.
Keep it a surprise. That's good. I think the cabin, that's all I want to do sometimes. I just think our life would be so much easier if I just left a note saying I'm off, see you later, find this build a cabin in the woods in the middle of nowhere, and then just be, years down the line, people would refer to me as the crazy old guy who lives in the forest. Like, don't go there. There's some crazy old guy. That would be me one day. Life would be a lot simpler.
Oh my God, it'd be so much easier.
When you get tired of loving everybody as hard as you can, then just escape.
Just like,
right. I've loved all I can love today.
Yeah, we have loved the shit out of everyone for so long. We're going to the woods and secluded. If I see one camper, I'm going to lose my whole walnuts.
So you going there for the whole weekend or just the night? Or do you do a lot of writing in the cabin or?
We're probably just going to pitch a tent. I'm going to take that's probably something we will do because we want to be able to have a fire. And it's been a long time since I've been able to sit beside a campfire with.
This is completely spontaneous. We haven't really
literally haven't planned it. We're just going to go grab it.
We've actually never done it together before. So
Yeah.
We're about to find out how we do together.
Oh, it's going to be fun. It'll be fun. I'm great at this.
I'm a bit worried now. Suddenly there's a lot of pressure on this trip. I think I'm going to stop promoting it. I may have sold it to you now, and then disaster happens.
Oh,
it's not my fault. Are you guys got any plans to come over here to the UK then?
Man, listen, we probably would have already been over there if I hadn't been in so much trouble. I know we would have. There are a few places that have already been hollering at us to come over and play some shows. We probably could have booked a tour over there by now if I could just get my passport, man. But I was in so much trouble growing up, man, just because, and I swear I just felt so alone growing up, man, because no one understood what I was going through. No one got looked at the way I got looked at, where I was at. And in actuality, a lot of people were but I didn't know. I thought I was, you know what I mean? I mean, I was literally the only biracial person, the only black kid in school. There was one other little dude that was just crazy.
Are these issues that are systematic, or is it just purely circumstantial, or is it a bigger issue than that?
I think a little of I think all of the above, actually, because it's systematic. It's easy. You can see it everywhere. You know what I mean? It's not hard. If you actually know what it is, it's not hard to spot.
I grew up in a different town, and even here, much, in a different place. It was, I don't know how old I was before I met the first person who was not white. I think it was probably, and then from stories that I've heard from people recently that I grew up with, that I think that was just as bad where I was, I think.
Sure.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I mean, it was just predominantly white where I was at, and naturally, some of the kids that had no idea why this chocolate man was walking around their town, they had never seen me, and they were afraid of me, or they were intimidated. They were afraid of what we don't understand, I guess. And kids can be vicious. Kids can be so ruthless, man.
Yeah, because it's an age where you don't understand the power of words, and it's a joke seems harmless. It gets you say a joke at someone's expense, it gets a couple of laughs, and you're like, oh, it's all good, it's just a joke. But there's underlying roots where that joke come from, and then the older you get, the slightly more vicious that joke becomes, and then for a lot of people it becomes more than a joke. It becomes, when you add in media bias into that, it becomes a mindset, and then all of a sudden it almost becomes your identity. There's a lot of people who whose sole purpose, it seems, is to kind of stir up that hatred of other people, and it's and it all starts at, by making a harmless joke at someone who's different to you when you're a kid. And that's why it's so important, I think, to that schools play a lot more of a part in that kind of racial understanding.
Man, I swear that's what it was. All the kids that used to mess with me when I was younger, man, grew up with I grew up with them. And some of these dudes that used to they would beat me to death. They hurt me, man, a bunch of times. They message me still today, just wanting my attention. Like, they just want to talk, and they want to, like, talk about I think it's because they feel bad genuinely about their ignorance when they were kids. You know what I mean? So I'll reply as often as I can because they're growing, and they don't even realize they're growing, you know? So who would I be to ignore these people that are trying to make a right and trying to, like, have some compassion for someone that they had none for to begin with? So try to reply and try to reach out as much as I can, man, to those dudes. If they have shown any kind of growth, you know, I try. I just feel like I have to try to reciprocate some kind of love or some form of correspondence to let them know that I understand. And
you know what's funny, that I never really thought about it until this second. That my real but my real exposure to start seeing a lot more people of different ethnicities and everything was when I went to college, which happened to be the town that he grew up in. So it's funny that that I started becoming more aware of things when I went to
because you were in the college, yeah. And the school, and of course the school had. But I'm living out in the woods of the, you know, and she's in the town where the college is, and they're all, and it's, you know, the whole town's like, it's insane, man. And
it wasn't a terribly diverse campus, but it was definitely a lot more diverse than the town was.
Oh yeah. Jeez Louise. And I kind of feel bad for some of those college kids because I know that they have experienced that firsthand in the town I grew up in. Just it's crazy.
Yeah, I think it definitely makes the world of a difference, kind of stepping, like, if you've grown up in one place, as soon as you go to another place and experience other people and other cultures, you definitely come back with a lot more understanding and appreciation. I think so many people kind of, you know, just don't have, they're afraid of experiencing or understanding other cultures. And ultimately every person, regardless of, you know, your race or gender or anything, we're just trying to weave through the crazy path of life, and we're all trying to get on with it ourselves. And it comes back to what we said about musicians, like everything would be a lot easier if we just helped each other, you know, and not have all these roadblocks in the way that, you know, how happy life would be if we just kind of just got on. It's not hard. Kids do
That's it, man. It's not. It really isn't, man. In fact, it's easier.
And you're right. And it's not just for musicians. It's for
all. Right. That
was
perfect. Yeah, that was well put, man.
I need to write that down.
I feel like we should be holding hands and singing around the campfire right now.
What's the way, right?
Let's all just get along.
I mean, truly, though, that's it. That's what it comes down to. Oh my God. You're wasting so much energy with this hate.
Well, I'm losing a lot of hair through stress, and it's one stress I could do without is other people getting on each other. My hairline needs it.
So bald.
But you pull it off. I'm just gonna look like an egg when I make the. That's why I'm growing the beard. Just turn my head upside down.
Right. Have a fro.
Yeah. Use of hats and beard.
Oh, I do. Hat placement.
So for everyone listening, if they want to check out your music, where can they go? I'm going to throw some links below. But you're on Facebook. You've got music coming out soon. What did you just want to give your Facebook link a shout now?
We have a website, which is walterdebarmusic.com, and the Facebook page and the Instagram page are both at Walter DeBar Music.
We also have the Facebook page, the Little Blue Hearts.
Oh yeah,
that's it, and
an Instagram for that as well.
And if they want to find the music that we have released already, man, it's on any of the major platforms.
Google Play,
Walter
Spotify.
DeBar, We Fall, We Break. It's my first record. It's a little 6-song EP. And we'll be releasing a single pretty soon. We really hope you guys check it out. I'm so excited about this song, man. It's something special.
I want to hear. I want to hear it. Please.
I can't wait for you to hear it, man.
I
I
want to
really
be one of the
cannot wait
first.
for you to hear it. I'm so excited.
And for people who are interested in checking out the Folk Festival live stream, that's all going to be on Facebook.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be on Facebook, the Appalachian Folk Festival live stream.
Yeah, that's
And-
what the event is called.
Mhm.
And there's a page where we've kept all the events that are Appalachian Folk Online Music Festival, I
Mhm.
think is what the page is called. But you can find it's at Appalachian Folk Festival, facebook.com/Appalachian Folk Festival. That's where you can find that page, and the event will be on there.
And that's the
And-
20th of June. That's 12 p.m. American Eastern Time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's too many time zones. And that's going to be 4 p.m. Or 5 p.m. UK
Yeah, I
time.
think it's 5,
Okay, cool.
5 o'clock. Yeah.
That'll be when you guys play.
And
Yep.
you set it off, and all the sets will be right there on the event page. We'll just post all the live streams there.
And it's a fantastic lineup, so do check it out.
Oh my
It's the last
God.
one that they do is generally world-class lineup. So
It really is, man. This lineup is something special. I'm so glad to have you guys on it too. We're excited for this one. Like,
thank you very much for having us on, and thanks so much, guys, for lending me your time, having a chat about everything. It's been a joy to speak to you both face to face.
it's been great to talk
Thank
to
you
you,
so
man.
much.
Yeah, this has
This has
been
been
really
great.
cool. Yeah.
And we definitely have to have you back on again, and hopefully we'll see you guys in the UK or over in the States as well. We'll definitely take a rain check on that. I am pretty envious of your day's plans now, going to the woods. I'll be trudging through the rain back home whilst you guys are swanning off to a campfire. So enjoy that. Have a marshmallow on me.
Yeah, you got it.
you.
Thank you so much, Richard, man.
Not a worry. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you guys both, and take care.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
man.
See you.
Thank you, man.
Find your soul and the world